Hey, it's Dave Torgerson, Realist Real Estate Agent. So it's just a couple of agents that will sit around and talk about actual, honest to God, like real estate stuff, not the fancy bullshit that everybody else seems to talk about. Yep. Well, welcome, Todd. Thank you very much. So this is the first episode of the Realist Real Estate Agent. So Todd, tell us a little bit about you.
Oh man, Todd Watkins, obviously. My area that I cover, I'm over in southeastern Washington. So Kennewick, Richland, Pasco areas. But with myself and my team, we actually range to quite a large area as well, up to 80 miles kind of to the northwest of us, if that's a good way to put it. Up to Yakima, and then all the way down to the city that's so nice they named it twice, Walla Walla. So which is, if you ask them, they are the Napa Valley of the wine here in Washington. So, but
that's awesome.
Yeah,
well, I thought they were known for onions.
Well, there's the Walla Walla sweets as well. That's true. So yeah. Since then, nobody grows onions. They just grow grapes now and brew it. So.
Yeah, that's pretty funny. So they don't want to be known as like the onion capital anymore. They want to be.
No, there's the Walla Walla sweets are still around, but there's a lot more money in wine, I think, than there is in onions. So, but I mean, I am neither a wine connoisseur or onion connoisseur unless it's on comes with my steak and mushrooms. So yeah, but those are the ones to go with.
They should make onion wine.
There you go. Yeah. It reminds me of Napoleon Dynamite when he was judging the cow's milk, and he's like, "Oh, this one tastes like a cow got into an onion patch."
Yeah, yeah. I think it took me like 6 or 7 years after that came out before I actually saw that.
Yeah. Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, yeah. And I was just going to make the comment too. Like with the big range that you go out.
Yes.
In Washington, it's kind of funny because I don't think like a lot of people like in southern states or like even some of the Midwest states understand, like when you get into the northern states, you kind of like cover a big area. A really big area. Yeah.
Oh yeah. You talk to people like, say, agents in Southern California or whatever, they'll drive 45 minutes to go, 5 miles. I mean, but we're, when I'm saying I'm driving, an hour to get to an appointment, it's because it's all highway. 75 to maybe 90 miles an hour, depending on how the roads are. Right now, we're a little closer to the speed limit with it being icy and whatnot. But yeah, so but it's a good 90-mile range, and so my area I live in between, and it's 3 different MLSs that we're in as well. Yeah, with that there. So, but that's cool. It's awesome. It opens things up and. Tons of opportunities for it for sure.
You get a lot of people moving in from out of state.
We do. So, yeah, I mean, we get people moving in, but, where we are, we've also got a nuclear power plant that's right there in Richland, Washington. It's called the Hanford Nuclear Power Plant. Mm-hmm. And a fun little useless fact for you, but it actually created the plutonium that they dropped in the Fat Boy for World War II.
Oh, interesting.
So yeah.
And so that had Washington plutonium in it.
Oh yeah, Washington plutonium all over it. So with it, and what's even more fun that I guess since we're unfiltered here, right, not being politically correct.
Nope.
One of our high schools there, it's called the Richland Bombers, and their logo is the mushroom cloud insignia. So it's many people have tried to change it, saying this is horrible. You need to, but it's like, this is our roots. Yeah. So, and they're not changing.
Yeah, I can imagine not. I mean, we have some stuff like that up here in Montana, but yeah, with people getting bothered about like the Redskins, I'm sure that they're bothered about the big mushroom cloud. Yeah, yeah. So what are you seeing in the market? What's going on over there?
Oh, well, with where we are locally, activity sales are down by about 50%. In our area, we're a little bit more fortunate because we're kind of insulated with the nuclear power plant. We get several $1 billion a year injected into our into the economy with things that are there, but still. From January to July of this year, home values went up by 10%, and now they've dropped probably 10, maybe 12%.
Okay.
with interest rates going, overnight from 3 to basically 7%. And so it's kind of paused home values, like just the straight up skyrocket of home value appreciation, but it's kind of paused things a little bit. But we've got more inventory now. There's a lot more options, and we're having a lot of fun with buyers. I mean, it's basically, I feel like this is a lot of the work and things that we're doing are basically what we had to do when the market crashed in 07 and 08. It's a lot of the same work, where it's basically, you've just got to have the attitude of do whatever you got to do to get it done. And it doesn't matter what price point. Over the last 5 years, I could have been a little bit more of a princess and been like, you know what, guys, if you want to buy a home under 300,000, I'm sorry, there just isn't any option to help you. But now, those are, the $250,000 to $400,000 price range is just red hot. I mean, that's where most of the buyers are, and it's been pretty good. I mean, all the other markets are still available too, but man, those higher end ones are ultra competitive. It's interesting to see.
Yeah. Because the buyers that were looking like 500,000 to 600,000 that were financing,
right,
with the interest rates going up, they got dropped down to like 300 to 400.
Yeah,
best case scenario.
Yeah, it is. It's just crazy. Things are changing. I mean, I know, as you know, David, we've both been in for almost 20 years now. And when we first got into it, and this is how crazy this is, right? Just to kind of back up, I'm going to date myself here a little bit, but I can remember when I graduated high school, I got a beeper and I thought I was cool. So now most people here probably don't even know what a beeper is, but
what is a beeper?
Basically you had a little electronic device, right? Kind of look like, I don't know, maybe an oversized package of gum, if that's a good way to put it size wise. Mm-hmm. But basically you would just dial into the number and hit a code and text out whatever your message was, or tell them, call the service, and the service would type in and send. This was like the first text message, like really like the first real text message that you got, right? Just from a beeper. And so, like, there was no cell phones. Like, it was just like you were the cool kid if you had a beeper or a pager.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah, because I remember that too. Like the only people that had beepers was law enforcement and doctors.
Yeah, law enforcement and doctors.
Yeah, if you weren't like a cop or a doctor and you had like a pager or beeper,
right,
you're a pretty big fucking deal. Big deal.
Yeah, you were definitely one of the cool kids for sure. So, but that was just, I remember, that was just getting out of high school and getting that. And I thought that was just the coolest thing ever. So, and here we are, fast forward. And I guess, let me back up. Just looking at that's just as crazy how technology has advanced just in 20 years, 20, over the last 25 years. Real estate has gone, because we look at it and we're going like, how in the world did real estate agents do real estate work without the MLS, like without the internet, without having a cell phone? I mean, that was
what was a book?
Yeah, it was crazy. I mean, you had like an MLS book and you had to send the sheets to every office so all the agents knew with that. And things moved a lot quicker, or a lot slower, back then too, when it came to putting homes up for sale and different things. And so it's pretty awesome with all the technologies that we have and that we use now, to make our life simpler, but not only just simpler, but more wealthy too. It's even if we do less transactions now, we make more money than what we would have before.
Yeah, it's true. But I would say that, and I agree with you in a lot of the cases, but there's one big case that I actually do disagree, is that the stuff with technology, in my opinion, it's made real estate agents' life hell. It's made it hell. Yeah, because I remember like during the downturn, 2008 to 2014, I mean, I saw like real estate agents that were talking about, like their value prop. And their value prop was, I'm available 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, 365. Right. Yeah. And so then what happened is that became like more of a prevalent thing. And then, of course, like as we're dealing with our clients, the vast majority of our clients, they expect that we're going to be available at 9 o'clock at night. Yeah. So when they're like, half shit faced, and they're like, 5 or 10 drinks into the night, that they're like, oh, I'm going to call the real estate agent up. So like,
call my guy.
yeah. I think in that particular aspect of technology and real estate sales, like, because agents didn't really know like how to deal with that, and they didn't know how to tell their clients like you don't understand, like 6 o'clock, like I'm done. Like I'm not taking calls. I'm not doing any of that stuff. And during that period, we trained the entire population of buyers and sellers to basically kind of like treat us like shit.
Right. Oh yeah. No, there definitely is a lot of that for sure, because because everything became so much more available at their fingertips. The perception is that they don't need a realtor to do a lot of stuff, which is, of course, being a realtor, I would totally disagree. You can look at Zillow or realtor.com and get online and look at properties that are there, but honestly, like, you guys still need a real estate professional to interpret the market, to be able to understand like each subdivision or what the feel is for different things that are actually going on and with that. And so the computer programs aren't going to do that for you. And that's what they're paying people for. It's almost like the good analogy where the computer tech, right? Repair guy came into that exec's office, where I'm sure we've all heard it, where his screen wasn't working and, paid.
I haven't heard this one.
Oh, you haven't heard? Okay. But basically,
okay.
So there's a president of some company or something, and he came in, was having issues with his computer. And so they hired a computer guy to come in and come fix the screen so that it would work. And so guy came in, took a look at it, kind of touched the screen a little bit, looked at everything, pulled out a hammer, right? And just gave it a whack. And then the screen came back on. And so then, of course, the exec was just like, and then he gave him his bill, and the exec's going, "This is crazy. You took only 2 minutes to fix this, but you're now charging me, like $500 for it or whatever." And so, and of course, the sales guy or the repair guy said, "Well, sir," he said, "you're not paying me for my time." He says, "Yeah, it was a $75 trip charge to get here." I said, "But the rest of this is you were paying me for my knowledge to fix your problem." And that's really what a good realtor does for you. Yes, there are a lot of bad realtors, and I agree with you, David, in the sense that technology has really has helped breed a lot of weak realtors. Before we even got into it, in the 70s, the 80s, realtors had to pre-qualify the buyers, their clients, before they did that. I could bet you 99% of the realtors out there don't even know how to pre-qualify a buyer before they go show a home or go work or with the client or do anything. And so a lot of it's just technology, because things are so much more readily available. People don't need to know everything, and they just and it breeds a weaker salesperson.
It's true. Well, here's a real life example. This just happened. When was it? What was this, last week? I guess it would be Thursday. Yeah, so it was on Thursday. I got a lead that came through, and so naturally I called him. Okay. And
go get some more tissue. Sorry, I'm sorry.
No, it's all good.
Give me 1 sec, Dave. Here.
Yep.
Okay, go. My son came over to me with a bloody nose here.
Oh no. Yeah, take your time.
Sorry, I sent him to go get more toilet paper.
Yeah, no, that's good. We can edit that out. Don't worry about that.
Yeah, that's all right. You don't have to worry about it. You can keep it in. I don't care.
Yeah. Whatever. We'll look at it. But
I said more. Okay, no, go get a lot more. Okay, go get a whole bunch and come right back.
It's funny too. I look at that because I don't have any kids.
Yeah.
And kudos to you, man. Kudos to you. Because if my kid came in with bloody nose, I'd be like, "What the hell happened? Oh, come here."
I can tell you what happened. He was digging for gold. He went too deep. He hit oil.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh,
that's funny stuff.
Come here. All right. You mean to do the Do the torpedo.
Did you see the guy? It was in the World Cup. He's like now like the meme king of the world that was running around out in the field on one of the games with a tampon shoved up his nose.
No.
Yeah.
No, apparently I missed that.
Yeah, one of my friends showed that to me. He was like, "Yeah, so this guy is going to be forever known as like tampon nose guy."
That's hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, look up.
Wrong one.
Wrong one. All right. Should we put it in both?
What's funny about this too, and I think that we'll probably leave this in only because of this is that I think that
well, it's probably because you don't pick that one deep enough, huh?
To do with the
technology.
Pre-qualification.
Yeah, pre-qualifying.
Yeah, I think we were talking about pre-qualifying. Oh yeah, so this is a story. So this last Thursday, I get a lead. I of course follow up on the lead, and I'm talking to her. Nice gal, had a great conversation, and so one of the last questions I ask in the pre-qualification: are you contractually obligated to another real estate agent? And so
I love
of course,
that.
Yeah, and she gave me the the great hesitation. I was like, oh shit, she's working with another realtor, and she said, I actually am not contractually obligated. However, I've looked at a few houses with another real estate agent. We've made a few offers. And I was like, all right, so you've made a few offers, but you're not contractually obligated to them. So did you not sign a buyer broker in your document package?
Yeah.
And she was like, that doesn't sound familiar. And I was like, oh, well, how about this?
Check that.
Yeah. I was like, I was like, that seems really strange. And so she called me back later. And she actually sent me over all of the documents that she signed.
Okay.
Which I thought was interesting. You know, because I mean, she doesn't know me. I could be like, I could be a total scam artist. But she sent them over, and I was looking through, and golly gee, there was no buyer broker. There was no relationships form. There was nothing.
It doesn't surprise me, man.
Yeah.
It doesn't surprise me at all.
It was the craziest thing.
Yeah. It's I'm totally gonna get on a soapbox here, David.
Yeah, do it.
But I would say 95, maybe 97% of agents, they're too afraid. They're concerned if they ask the agent to commit or the buyer to commit to them, then they're going to lose the business.
Yeah.
But, I'm of the opinion, well, guess what? You didn't have the business to begin with. I mean, now I have lost a couple of buyers just this year because they refused to sign a buyer rep agreement. And I, I'll tell them, say, hey, look, I get maybe we need to go look at a couple of homes before you decide to commit to me. I said, but at some point I'll go show you a couple of homes, but I am going to ask you to enter into an agency and relationship with us.
Yep.
So, because it's, we need to create that. We need to create that relationship. I said, you'd have the same thing with your doctor, with an attorney, with a CPA, with anything else. Unless you have that relationship set in place, they're not going to do any work for you. I said, and it's the same thing for us. Like, we work for you basically, for free, in the sense that, we're here hoping that you'll agree to have us help you fill out the paperwork, because whoever fills out the contract for you is who's going to get the commission. And that's basically what it is. And so, but I'll go one step further, one step deeper, is that most realtors will not admit that they're a salesperson.
Right.
They are just like, we are not salespeople. That's such an icky term. And it's just like, no, that's not icky at all. Everybody knows you as a salesperson. And until you embrace it and actually go on a lifelong journey of commitment to better yourself, we're going to continue to have this negative rap where realtors are just one step above a used car salesman.
Sure.
So.
Sure.
And not to dog those used car salesman people out there. So,
no, man, I got a ton of clients who are used car salespeople, and they make used car salesman jokes.
Oh yeah, dude. It's you know what? And some days, David, I hate to, I'm going to admit this on a video here, but you know what? One sales line that I can never use unless I was a car salesman, I've always thought was the greatest closing line, is if somebody was trying to decide whether they want to buy a house or buy a car, so that I could come in with the closing line and just be like, well, you know what? you can't drive your house, but you can certainly sleep in your car. So, but
Yeah, that might not. You could probably say that to a few people, but not everybody. That's for sure.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's funny stuff.
Uh,
Here's something that I heard, and I love this. And this was early on in my sales career. And one of the things that's interesting about my sales career too is that I'm self-trained.
Yeah.
So not. I guess let me amend that. So the first half of my career, I didn't know that I didn't know. Right. So just
Yes.
lived in like total ignorance, like, I don't even know that I didn't know anything.
Yeah.
And I was lucky enough to be the son of a salesman. And so I called my dad and I was like, I guess I'm not really understanding like what's going on. And if you were to point me towards a resource, like where would you point me? And he gave me two. And so the first one was Dale Carnegie, How to Win Friends and Influence People.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, okay, cool. And that one didn't speak to me at the time. So I sort of like pushed that to the side. And I wish that I wouldn't have. But the second one was Zig Ziglar. That's all he said, Zig Ziglar. And I said, okay, well, I'm Zig Ziglar. And so I, of course, got on Google, and I was like, Zig Ziglar. And there was a bunch of stuff on YouTube on Zig Ziglar.
Yeah.
They had like tons of stuff. And so, and I will say this, I thank the Ziglar Corporation, and I think Zig Ziglar's son, I think it's Tom Ziglar, who's running the organization now. So, thank you very much for putting that stuff out there. There was a video, and I think it was a minute long, and it was just Zig Ziglar saying, remember that sales is something that you do for someone and not to someone. And yeah, like blew my mind. And then he went into like a little description of like, what that actually meant.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. And so the thing that changed for me as far as like, if I'm a salesperson or not, I'm a proud salesperson, without a doubt.
Yeah.
I mean, I help people do things that they are not necessarily able to do on their own.
Right.
That's what it all comes down to. Because I like this as an example, because you had mentioned it too, like people can do stuff without a real estate agent. And it's true. I mean, they can do the majority of things without a real estate agent.
Sure.
They can locate the property without a real estate agent. They can, they can make contact with the seller without a real estate agent.
Yeah.
In a lot of cases, they can even do a contract without a real estate agent. They can,
they can go get approved. Go get loan approved without a real estate agent.
Yeah. Yep. You can do all these things without a real estate agent. But here's the other similarity. And this is the example that I like, and it's the one that I have internalized in my mind. Dude, you can do the same thing with the fucking stock market.
Sure.
I can go locate my own stocks. I can go locate, the type of industry that I want to invest in.
Right.
I can look at all of the numbers that I kind of understand. Like I mean, like I'm not dumb, but I'm also not a stockbroker.
Right.
So I can understand them just far enough to know like that it seems to be a pretty okay company. And so then I buy the stock, and then I look a week later and all my fucking money's gone. Yeah. And it's like, I don't understand. Like,
right.
Like, why would they allow me to do this on my own without the use of like a financial advisor or a stockbroker or some professional advising me?
Yeah.
Like, I don't get it. Like, how did that even happen? Well, real estate, you see, is exactly the same way.
Yeah.
Because you can go and negotiate your own deal. You can write your own contract. You can go to the title company and open escrow. You can go get your loan approval. You can negotiate like whatever. You can do your own home inspection.
Absolutely.
Right? You can have your buddy John, who's a contractor, come over and do the home inspection for you. Like, you can do all this stuff, and then you close on the home, and then like 2 years later, when you get ready to sell it, you realize that you got fucked.
Right.
Wait a second. How did that happen? Maybe if you had a real estate agent that could have told you, like, well, first off, okay, the neighborhood that you're buying in, it's got some issues.
Yeah.
Okay? Like we and real estate agents are aware of those issues.
Yeah.
Okay. Or it has like a stigma associated with it. We have neighborhoods all over the country that,
sure,
they just have stigmas, whatever it is.
There are, yeah.
There's
Dude, I've got one that's like a killer subdivision in one of my areas where it was, people wanted to have bigger lots, like 1 acre to 3 acre lots, in kind of a planned community where you could have horses. Like the idea was to be able to have horses in the community, but it's got groundwater issues now where the city has actually had to get involved, and they have to have pumps that run 24 hours a day pumping water out of this because the groundwater, the shelf level is so high. I mean, it wasn't when they first built it, there wasn't an issue. But now it's come up and the water will seep through. Like you'll have a pool, like it looks like a little creek or a little lake in your backyard.
right.
And so, but it's something like, just as simple as that. Like that's something that, any realtor that knows what's going on, worth their salt, knows that, hey, that's something that we need to double check to make sure.
Yeah,
So,
without a doubt.
yeah.
I've just pictured a lot of those guys like waking up in the morning and all they hear like their horses like like making a bunch of noise. Yeah, and it's like what the hell's going on? And there the horses are like up to their chest in mud. Like what the hell just happened? Like I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, that's a really good example. I mean, those are the sorts of things that. Well, here this is my personal example.
Yeah.
My personal one. Okay, so I used to be an aircraft mechanic before I was a real estate agent, and I love aviation maintenance. I still love aviation maintenance to this day. It's just got afraid of the chemicals and decided I needed to change careers. And so during that last part of when I was an aircraft mechanic, my wife and I, and this would have been 2005, right?
Okay.
So in 2005, we started looking for a home, and so we started off looking at I mean, just whatever it was that we could afford at the time. And this agent that we were working with, and I know that we were frustrating to her because I look back on that and it's like, dude, like, oh, it was kind of well, same thing. I didn't even know that I didn't know.
Yeah.
And so by the time it was done, she was showing us this new subdivision. And we were pretty enamored with it. And it's like, well, that's pretty cool. And it was out by the golf course. So I mean, that's speaking to my ego, it's like
nice,
well, we live out by the golf, which is funny. Not on the golf course, okay, but near the golf course.
Okay,
because I couldn't afford to live on the golf course, but I could afford to live near it. And so new construction, fairly new subdivision. It was the second phase of that subdivision.
Yeah,
and I remember that she had told me, she was like, "Oh, I've sold quite a few homes out here," and I was like, "Okay." So when an agent tells me something like that, or when anybody tells me something like that, I would perceive that they know something that other people don't know because they have more experience in that area. Well, here's what happened. Okay. So we purchased the home. Okay. And the very first thing that I noticed as I'm walking around on the property, is that there are all these pieces of plastic out there. And I'm a dude, right? Okay. I'm just a guy.
Yeah.
So there's certain, things about the, whole like female life that I'm not, I don't understand it.
Right.
And so I come in with like this handful of these pieces of plastic, and I showed Donna, and I was like, these are all over the place. And she was like, those are fucking tampon applicators.
Right.
I was like, what in the hell are a bunch of tampon applicators doing all over our property? And I mean, I'm not talking about like 2 or 3. I'm talking about like 300 or 400.
Right.
Yeah. And so I went down to the golf course to go golfing, and I was talking to the owner, great guy. His name's Floyd. And I was like, yeah, craziest thing, man. Like there's just tampon applicators like all over our property. And it's like, oh yeah, that's where they dump the septic trucks.
Oh no.
Oh yeah, they dumped the septic trucks up in that subdivision for like the last like 50 years.
No.
Yeah. So did our agent tell us about that? Nope. Totally didn't know. Totally didn't know about that. And so then here's the other part too. Then we noticed that there's trash that would just like blow in from all over the place. And it's like, where is all this trash coming from? The subdivision backed up to the dump. Didn't know that either. Had no idea. Yeah. Then I was talking to one of the neighbors, and I was like, so there's some interesting things about this subdivision. They're like, yeah, you're fucking telling me, brother. Like,
wow, yeah.
Our foundation ruptured. This is what he told me. Our foundation ruptured, And it got so bad that we couldn't even open the doors or windows to our home. So foundation ruptures, right? Whole
Yeah.
structure starts settling. They can't
Yeah.
even open their sliders or open their front door.
Dude,
And
that's crazy.
Yeah. And the point of all that is that, okay, so first off, the agent should have known because she sold a bunch of real estate in there, right? Sold a bunch of houses, should have known, didn't know, had no idea. And so that's actually what got me into real estate, because I remember talking to her and was like, hey, we've got all sorts of problems up here. And here's what she told me. She said, we've closed on the home. I don't owe you any responsibility. That was it.
Wow.
Yeah, that was the last conversation that I had with her. And so I remember I was in the back of an airplane, and some people know what this is, but do you know what safety wire is, like in an aircraft?
No.
They use, so you run it through like certain types of bolts that are drilled, or like castellated nuts. Okay. And then you you have special pliers, and you pull it and twists the wire. And what it does is that it stops the nut from being able to rotate off. So it holds a constant amount of torque on the nut. It's pretty cool stuff. Old technology, but it works really well.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, when you cut it, it's super sharp. So I was in the back of this airplane, and I took a piece of safety wire, ran it down under my fingernail, right? Ooh. Yeah, under my fingernail and out the side of my finger. So I'm bleeding all over the place. And I was like, geez Louise, like, this sucks. Like I'm bleeding all over. And
yeah, man.
And then I was thinking about our house, and I was like, wait a second, like that gal got like, because again, I didn't know how commissions worked. And I was like, that gal made like 12 grand. She made like 12 grand off of selling us that house. And here I am, where I'm lucky to get like, $2,500 per pay period.
Right.
Bleeding all over the place. And that's what got me into real estate. But sorry for the long story, but the point that I'm making with that is that, well, there were actually a couple of different points. Be careful about the real estate agent that you choose, first off.
Yeah.
And then I can tell you this, is that we would have been in a significantly worse situation had we not used a real estate agent.
Man, that is so crazy.
Yeah. So anyway, sorry, that just brings me back to, well, then this is the best part. So I got licensed in December of 2007.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then March of 2008, the entire real estate market collapsed. Yeah. So I'm one of those real estate agents that got foreclosed on.
Oh man.
Yeah, and the great downturn. Yeah, so I think it was 2012. We threw the keys to the house back to the bank and took the foreclosure.
Wow.
Yeah. Which, funny part, I thought that was going to be the end of my career. Because who wants to buy a house from a real estate agent that's been foreclosed on?
Right.
And that was one of the most valuable things that ever happened to me in my career, because I can now tell people, I'm not ashamed of it. I mean, it's the thing. It happened. Circumstances.
It happened to a lot of the country.
Yeah. I was able to help a lot of people save themselves from foreclosure.
Yeah.
Because there were people that were like, well, we're in default, and we'll just take the foreclosure. And it's like, there are actually ways that you can get out of this.
Yeah.
So don't take the foreclosure.
Yeah.
So don't take the foreclosure.
Oh yeah, no, there's tons of options. Well, and it's funny as you say that, just to kind of throw it into like just what's happening in the market now. I know a lot of people think that we're going to see a ton of foreclosures, but I don't see that happening. I mean, there is too many homeowners have too much equity. Yep. In order to lose. I mean, there's just way too many options. And so it really is. So, but yeah, man, that's crazy. I mean, and that's such an invaluable, lesson. I mean, it was a very expensive, hard life lesson that you learned in there, but which, but I've been close, a couple of times. I was close to foreclosure, yeah. I shouldn't say foreclosure, but more probably having to do a bankruptcy, but Thankfully, I had several rental properties where I just sold a couple of off that had I not had those rental properties, because I had made some good decisions younger in my younger life, that I probably would have had to have gone to like bankruptcy court. You know, my family went through it. My parents did it. We had a plumbing business way back when I was growing up, and we had won the bid to build these huge apartment complex. It was like 200 units. I mean, it was it was like the new thing that was happening. And the guy that came in from, it was an outfit out of California, came in and was just trying to extend credit on everybody, and then left town owing several $1 million worth of bills and wiped my parents out. Because my parents had, I think they had put in, they had about $200,000 worth of, plumbing supply bills that they had with all of the trades, the supplies, the supply houses or the supply chains. And it nearly wiped them out. It did. I mean, I remember when I was a sophomore in high school, like going to bankruptcy court and being declared, was it chapter 13? Is that where the debt's forgiven, right? Or is it chapter 7?
I can't remember.
Look it up.
Yeah,
which I think it's chapter 13, but it's the one that was basically where it wasn't your fault. Like you just, you were doing what you were supposed to do. And so there's just, and of course, everybody got, which was horrible. Everybody got hosed on those bills, but we couldn't pay it because we were just continuing to move forward in good faith,
Right.
doing what the contractor had hired us to do, the general on that. And and so everybody, I should say, the IRS did get paid still. They made sure made sure they got paid. But that was like our big Christmas present that year. So, and growing up, like it was just like we weren't poor by any means. My dad had worked out at the nuclear power plant, had a decent job, I mean, made $60,000-$70,000 a year at the time, which was pretty good. But having 5 kids, it was that paycheck got eaten up real quick.
It sounds squeaky.
So, we had to be very frugal. And so my brother and I'm the oldest of 5. My brother that was 1 year younger than me, going to school, we were known as the BOGO twins, the buy one get one free, because that was all the school. Like we'd go to Fred Meyer's or go to the stores that was buy one get one free for all your back to school clothes. And so we would try to get different colors of the same brand so that it wasn't like matchy, but like people are like, oh, there goes the BOGO twins.
Yep, I know,
because we were frugal.
It's funny that you say that, because I remember I'm the youngest of 5, and I remember going to school and I had one of the teachers tell me that there was a shirt that I was wearing, and he made the comment. He was like, I remember your brother wearing that shirt like 4 years ago. I don't know anybody that actually pay any attention to that, but apparently he did. I didn't have a cool name, but I definitely was the recipient of all hand-me-down clothes. So now I gotta ask this, because this is, so if you had an agent that was like in front of you, like right now, and they were telling you like, hey, things are really tough, would you say that it's as tough now as it was back then?
It's just different. I mean, it's always tough. It's just, why, and some of that you just have to ask the agent is, why is it tough? Get to understand them. I mean, here we go. How to win friends and influence people, right? And with Zig Ziglar, it's first you need to understand what their problems are. It's the same thing in sales. Like we have to sell salespeople to do the work. It drives me crazy. We're in a business that should be self-motivated, self-regulated, but yet nobody wants to do the work. Like and honestly, like I find that the biggest problem, David, is because everybody does creative, what's a good way to put it? They want to feel busy. It's creative paralysis analysis, right? They'll think, oh, I got to get my website's got to be perfect. My social media's got to be on point. I need to have the perfect video. I need to have a perfect this, perfect that, do all this. At the end of the day, this is a relationship-based business. And if you're not building relationships every day, then you're just not doing your job. And here's the scary word. It's called prospecting. Everybody just freaks out. Oh, I can't do that. I'm not going to cold call. Okay, call it whatever you want, but you've got to talk to people if you want to be able to sell. And dude, I struggled, early on in my career to figure out what the magic pill is or what the magic sauce is, right? But it's really not. Like honestly, like I'm a bumbling idiot. I am not the sharpest tool in the shed. I will never be accused of being the smartest person in any room, okay? Unless I'm babysitting a bunch of toddlers. So, and even then, it's a question. I'm a close, probably runner up to first or second, right? So, but honestly, at the end of the day, man, like as long as you just talk to people and are authentic, and ask them how you can help them, like that's really all it is. Understand what their problems are, be genuine about it, and do it. And so it truly is. At the end of the day, when agents say it's hard or they're struggling, it's because they have a leads problem. They just don't have enough quality leads that they're working with in order to, for the sting to happen. Like, I mean, I've talked with, I know an agent right now that I'm talking to that he told me he's only got one home scheduled to close this month, and there's issues with that negotiating, right? And it may be something that, if it falls apart, like it's going to sting, but it's at the end of the day, the hard truth is he just didn't have enough quality leads. I mean, it's for that one, if we had more than one deal in escrow, like who cares if this one falls apart, right? But when it's the only one that you've got in escrow that's going to fall apart, it's, it stings a lot more than it should. So just at the end of the day, it's just having conversations, talk to more people. People know you're a salesperson. They know you're a realtor. They know they want your business. You don't have to tell them that. Just be of service. Talk to them. And at the end of the day, it's funny. Like I always tell people, and I shouldn't say this, but I straight admit, I say, look, guys, like I am not the best real estate agent. Like I'm not the best salesperson. I know that you guys are like showing interest in this home, and like you would expect most realtors to like push for the sale. But honestly, like if you as a buyer, you walk into this home and it doesn't feel like home to you, like I'm just not going to be able to put that, as much as I twist your arm, we'll never be able to get that square peg into the round hole. Like it just will never happen. Yep. So like I
gotta jump in really quick. Have you seen that video on Facebook where it shows the guy like with the square peg and the triangle peg and everything, and it's like, where does this go?
I haven't seen this. No.
Oh, you got to check that out. Yeah, because he was like, whenever I hear square peg round hole, I'm sorry to take you off track, but it is so
you're
funny.
Good.
He was like, where does this square peg go? And it shows this gal who's like, the square peg or the square hole, and he was like, that's right, the round hole. Where does the triangle peg go? And she was like, well, the triangle hole. And he was like, that's right, the circle hole, because they all fit down the circle hole. Yeah, it was freaking hilarious. Anyway, sorry for that.
That's funny.
Yeah.
So that's
but
good.
Anyway,
yeah.
Continue on.
But I guess it's just, people need to self-improve. They need to figure out a great list of questions just to talk, right? And it's not so much like us talking about ourselves, because say like, people see us as telemarketers, like our job truly is being really good at interrupting people. Like we're professional interrupters, if that's a good way to put it.
Yep.
And if we're not good at interrupting people and making like a good impression within 5 seconds of them being on the phone, then we're toast. Like it's just any other, like what any other telemarketer would do, right? You just be like, all right, well, click, you're out of here. And so, at the end of the day, there's only 2 ways that you're going to get people to like you and trust you, which then in turn will want to do business with you. And it's either teach them something or get them to talk about themselves. And obviously, if I call you, David, like, and start trying to teach you something within like the first 5 to 10 seconds of talking to you and you don't know me, you're just going to hang up. You're going to tell me to pound sand, right? I mean, that's going to be the end of the conversation.
Maybe. Depends on what you're trying to teach me.
Yeah, that's true too. So, but you're a different character. So you'd be like, you know what? I love your cojones on calling me. Like, hi, I've got a job for you. But most people,
that would be my approach. Yeah, I try to hire telemarketers all the time.
So, but the rest of the world, they're just gonna be like, click, hang up, right? But what we know is at the end of the day, or the most important thing is we have to answer that all important question for the consumer. What's in it for them? Or even with an agent, what's in it for them? Like, why should they pick us? Why should they pick our offer? Why should we work with you over anybody else? There's an array of options that are out there, and we've got to get them to understand what their situation is. It works out well. We need to get them to talk about themselves, right? And by doing so, they're going to like us. And I think was it Zig Ziglar that said in one of his books, a true conversationalist or a good conversationalist is when you speak only 20% of the time. Maybe it was in How to Win Friends and Influence.
Yeah,
it was Dale
sure.
Carnegie.
Yeah, that's Dale Carnegie for sure.
I think it was Carnegie.
Yeah.
But he just said, where it was, I remember reading the chapter where they had something where they were at a party, and they had gone in and talked about how, like, this guy just asked really good open-ended questions and got the people to talk, and the people dominated the conversation, answering and talking to him, telling him their life stories. And when they left, they said, this guy didn't talk at all, but I absolutely love him.
Yep.
I mean, and that's the problem with a lot of what we do. And I'm guilty of it too, is we get in, like, even now, like, I'm just preaching, just talking, and not asking good find out questions to help them self-discover what's going on. And that's what we really need to do, is get really good at asking great self-discovery questions for the client or for the agent.
Yep.
Because the magic sauce is simple, man. Like, this is it. Like, let's just reverse engineer the success to real estate. I share all agents with this, and basically it's, our end goal is helping the clients get their home, and a byproduct of that is us collecting what we hope is a nice fat commission check, right?
Yep.
The only way we're going to get those commission checks is if we get contracts. The only way we get contracts is by setting appointments. The only way we get appointments is by prospecting, by talking to people. And that's it. Like, that's the magic sauce. And so, for anybody that listens, I'll make you the Todd promise, right? Here's the promise. If you talk to 10 people a day about real estate, have like 10 real estate related conversations per day, either on the phone or face to face, you will sell. There's no reason that you can't sell 2 homes a month. Like, that's it.
Yeah. I was going to say at least one.
Yeah.
I mean, it'll turn into at least one transaction.
Yeah.
With the 60 to 90 day lag.
Correct. Yeah. Right. Yeah, it is. I mean, and it takes a little bit of time to build up. It's just kind of like, prospecting real estate. It's just like going to the gym. Like, you can't show up and work out, and after one workout be like, what the hell? Why haven't I lost 20 pounds? Mm-hmm. Like, I'm still a fat lard. And it's like, well, are you watching what you're putting in your mouth? You've got a bunch of other things that you're doing too. And so you've got to put in, probably 30 to 60 days to really have any significant results. And it's the same thing with prospecting. Same thing with anything else.
Yeah. Here's a question. It's kind of a loaded question, because I think I already know the answer. But so if I was like an agent, I came up to you and I said, oh, I need leads so bad. And if I don't get a lead today, I'm going to die.
Right.
Right. So they have some sort of weird disease that they're going to die if they don't get a lead. Where would you tell them to go? Where would you tell them to go get a lead?
Wow. Well, I think the 2 best spots for them to go would be, one is their circle of influence, talking to people that they already know. But then also reach out to for sale by owners. Those are people that have both. They've got their hand raised, waving, I want to sell my home. And, for sale by owners I don't want to say they're easy to convert, but it's simple. And if you talk to them, have a relationship with them, most for sale by owners are going to list with the realtor within probably 2 weeks of putting their home on the market. They just put it up because they're hoping that they're going to find that unicorn. Like, everybody's got the chance that they're going to find the buyer, right? And if they can't get it done in 1 or 2 weeks, they get tired of, like, people bombarding them. Crud. I mean, I've got for sale by owners that I follow up with now and it's because they recognize my number, and I'll try to call from different numbers to see if that's the thing, but they never answer the phone. They're tired of their phone ringing and they don't want to handle it. So
was it you that gave me the best for sale by owner close? I think it was you.
Was that to make the phone stop ringing?
Yeah.
Yeah, oh, yeah. So
You
yeah,
should-
I mean, dude, I use humor with a lot of my stuff,
Yeah.
and you know what? And a lot of times it turns people off, but that's okay. Like my niche market is people that I think are going to be kind of like me, that are just, hey, yeah, we're serious about getting stuff done, but you know what? Let's have a lot of fun along the way. Like,
Yeah.
why the life's too short to be stuffy and worry about stuff. But yeah, so when I call for sell by owners, a lot of times they'll, they go in and they'll tell me that they've probably had more realtors call them than buyers, which is totally the case that's happening all across the country right now. And I'll just tell them, I'll just say, well, Mr. For sell by owner, I said, what the quickest way? I said, I can guarantee that we can get those guys to stop calling overnight, like instantly. And they're like, oh, please tell me, how do you do that? I said, well, it's really simple. All we do is we put my sign in your front yard.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love it.
So, but I mean, it's, but they know it's true. It's like, it's kind of a fun way for me to kind of hit them saying, hey, you know what? Like, if you guys are tired, like most are within 2 weeks, most go. And statistically speaking, everybody already knows the numbers. You sell a home for only 85% of what a realtor could do it for. And so it's, I mean, that's great that you sold it all on your own, but, and you save that 6% commission fee. But you know what? You really lost another 7%, 9%, however much by trying to do it on your own, because that is
and to jump in, this is the thing that's important to know about for sale by owners is that they're not saving the 6% commission.
Right.
They're usually only saving half of that.
Yeah.
Because most of the people that are going to be coming to the house that are interested in buying it already have a buyer's agent.
Yeah.
So they're going to bake the buyer's agent commission into the deal anyway.
Absolutely. Oh yeah.
So they get like wrapped around the axle where it's like, oh, 6%. And it's like, it's more like 3%.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's just, it's kind of the, the old good old script that we've all learned is, what's the single greatest reason to go buy own? Greatest reason to go buy own. 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 Greatest reason. It's the same thing when people go to buy. I mean, it's like, if you were to go to a garage sale, even if you had bought, say, like an Xbox One, right, or whatever, a big screen TV, never taken it out of the box, and it still had the sales price sticker on it, you're not going to pay the sticker price at a garage sale. You're going to expect a significant discount. So it's the same thing when it comes to homes, cars, everything else. I mean, that's why a lot of people exclusively try to buy, say, vehicles. They don't go to car lots. They just try to buy private sale, is because they're going to save. They know they're going to save money on that.
I like
and
the
really,
TV. I like that TV analogy.
Yeah.
Because I use, well, I still use the watch analogy.
Right.
But the TV analogy is even better because, I mean, like, who wants to buy last year's model of TV at full price?
Sure. Yep.
Nobody.
Yeah. If I'm going to pay full retail, I'll go to the store.
Yeah. Buy brand new. And even then, I mean, people are still going to the store. And if they do, so if they just mark the price, and this is what most stores do, it's so funny. So they have a TV, and like the original price that they're trying to get on it is like $1,500.
Yeah.
So they just mark it up to $2,000 and give $500 off, and then they sell like crazy.
Right. Yeah.
I was like, but wait a second, like the original price was $1,500, and they're like, and then you just marked it up to $2,000 and then ran a 2-day sale of $500 off, 60-inch flat screen TVs.
Yep.
Yeah. And they're like, yep.
That's the perception. It's just like, oh, this is a great deal. It's for them feeling that, having that perception on there. So, oh yeah.
Yeah. So you would tell people for sell by owner. That'd be
I think that's a good way to, it's, and it's going to hone their skills too, as well. It's going to make you get better real quick at talking to people. With it. And so I think those are two of the quickest ways. Another way that you could do it is host open houses. Or even better, kill two birds with one stone. Host an open house for a for sell by owner. Now you're leveraging the home to get buyers to come in, and you're also earning the good graces of the for sell by owner.
Yeah.
With it.
How do you structure that?
Just offer to host a free professional open house and just say, and they'll want to know what the catch is, and just say, oh, well, if the catch is, if I bring you a buyer, we'll do a non-exclusive listing agreement where basically just says, hey, if I bring you the buyer and you accept my offer, you agree to pay me a 3% or 4% commission, whatever X amount you want to put in.
Sure.
On there, so that it's not that they're not binded to just me, or bound, I should say, to just me, but it's only if they accept my offer do they pay me a commission.
Yeah, I'll put you on the spot. Can I put you on the spot?
All
Okay,
right.
so I'll just be the first sale by owner. And so now what happens, Todd, like if you have a whole bunch of people that come through the open house and they're like, they're interested in my house, but you know that you could actually make more money selling one of the other listings that you already have. Like how do I know that you're not going to do that?
That's a great question. And honestly, I'm not the one that's going to determine who buys what. It's whatever the buyers do is, I mean, I try to treat people in the sense that I treat people however I want to be treated, and I promise I'll always be honest with you whether it's good for me or bad for me. But I'm going to be honest about which home people want. I can't force people to buy a house that they don't want to buy. And
Sure.
so, with that, and so, a lot of times what I'll do is I'd be happy to give you a list of all the people that came through the open house if you'd like, if you want to follow up with them on your own. But, we've got a lender that will do this as well to make sure that we get them all pre-approved. And if they decide to buy your home, then fantastic. But if not, that's part of why I'm wanting to host the open house, is to generate leads. So because, all you need is one buyer to buy your home. And as you know, your home's not the perfect fit for every buyer that's out there. And if it is, then we would definitely love to bring it to you. But if not, then we want to help them earn their business too.
Bravo. And if I was the first sale by owner, I'd say, all right.
Yeah.
Damn.
Just said, hey, I'm trying to help you, man. I'm just going to generate leads. We're going to get you more exposure. At the end of the day, it's exposure is what you need. And you're at a disadvantage trying to sell on your own because you don't have the same network that real estate agents have created over time.
Yep, it's true. When I think too, especially with first sale by owners, and you nailed it, is that there's only one thing. Well, actually, there are two things that they want, but there's one thing that they're focused on. And the one thing that they want, they want to sell their house. Yeah. They want to sell their house. Yeah.
Just need it sold.
I love this in our community. And I may not have mentioned this before, but I mean, you already know, but for people watching, they don't know. So I live in a little place in Montana. So essentially like in the middle of nowhere. And the fun part, whenever I talk to first sale by owners, and there are a few, there aren't too many right now. But whenever I talk to a first sale by owner, the only thing that I ask them, I never even ask them about their listing.
Yeah.
It's the craziest thing. And I take a lot of first sale by owner listings. But I'll just ask them out of curiosity, where are you planning on moving to?
Yeah.
That's it.
It's
so
awesome.
They pick up the phone. Yeah. Dial the number up, and ring, it's like, hello. Yeah. Hi, my name is Dave Torgerson. Are you the person that's selling 123 ABC Street? Yeah, I am. Oh, great. Okay. Well, I'm a real estate broker, but I'm actually not calling about the house in particular. I just wanted to know when you sell your home, where are you planning on moving to?
Yeah.
Oh, we're going to move across town. Oh, okay, cool. What, if I may ask, I mean, I'm sorry to pry. What's important about moving across town? Oh, it gets me closer to my grandkids so that I can just, walk and babysit them, because my son or daughter just got a new job and, it's demanding, whatever the reason. It's like, oh, okay, cool. So, moving across town, that's great. Out of curiosity, do you have anybody helping you looking for that new home? No, I mean, I've just been kind of doing it on my own. What type of house are you looking for? I'll keep my eyes and ears peeled.
That's awesome. Would you say that about 50% of the time that's the scenario where they don't have anybody?
Yeah. Oh, more than 50%.
Yeah.
More than 50%, because this again, because people don't have they don't have the professionalism of a real estate agent behind them. And so what they're doing is that they know the pieces of the puzzle, right?
Yes.
But they don't know how to put it together. And so they kind of like do stuff like out of order.
Yeah.
right?
Oh yeah.
So they don't have another house that they have in mind, but they put their house on the market, right?
Right.
So but then they think they're like, okay, well, I need to get my house sold before I can start looking for a home.
Uh-huh.
And so I don't want to engage the services of a realtor, which is
Yeah.
this is funny too, because every for sale by owner knows that if they want to find a house, who do they have to go talk to?
Yeah, they go talk to a realtor.
They go talk to a realtor,
Yeah.
right?
Oh yeah.
It's crazy. And then they're
Yeah.
like, well, I'm going to sell my house on my own though. And it's like,
Yeah, I'm gonna
but
sell on my own, but I'm gonna have you help me.
yeah,
Dude,
right.
I love this. Like this is so awesome because this is a killer, like this is a great lead generation source right here by using the FSBO and just turning around on them and just say, look, like I know everybody else is trying to in the, everybody else is trying to list you over the phone. And it's funny like how aggressive a lot of people will get. I've straight had people tell me like other realtors have told them that they're stupid, that they're ignorant, that they're idiots for trying to sell on their own,
Yeah.
and they belittle them. And so for me, I'm just kind of a breath of fresh air coming in because I just call them, like really like for me, my introduction is just, Dave, this is Todd, here. I'm just a local realtor in the area, and I'm sure I'm probably the 800th agent that's called you by now on your home.
Yep.
But, I was just curious, is your home still available? Like, are you still trying to find an offer? Well,
Yep.
yeah, we are. Okay, awesome. Hey, I know that, all these other realtors have tried to list you on over the phone to get your home for sale. But, if you don't mind, I had just a couple of questions that I couldn't find the information on the website or about. And so I'll ask them about like how old, the year of their roof, the year of the furnace, and the year of the water heater. Because those are three things that aren't found on the county records most of the time, and they're actually thought-provoking questions where they're like, you know what, like you're the first realtor, the first person that's ever asked me that. But those are the three main things that are the biggest concerns for first-time home buyers.
Yeah.
Or any buyer. I mean, those are the most
Yeah.
expensive repairs that typically happen when they buy a house. And so I just, ask them a couple of those things and then start building in and just say, well, you've had your home up for a while. You've had to have a couple of offers and, just strike up a conversation and start asking them, more find out questions. And then I love what you said, where I at some point I'll roll in and just say, every buyer always wants to know, what's the motivation? Why are you guys selling your home? And where, when you do sell, what's your plan? Like, where are you going to?
Mm-hmm.
So I love it, man. I think it's
Yeah.
a great way to find buyers because, because really, like realistically, like being a homeowner, would you ever choose to go back to becoming a renter?
No.
Yeah.
No.
I think there's rare cases, but the majority of it, they're moving, like they're going to buy.
Yeah.
So
no, it's true. Well, and what I love about the for sale by owner lead generation is that so most people look at like so like a for sale by owner is like one deal. Okay, so like if they could get the listing, they can get one deal.
Yeah.
Well, so if you look at it from the buy side, now you have two deals, but that's not even all the deals that you're going to be able to generate off of just having nice rapport and being helpful to the for sale by owner. Because this is what I do. I don't know why more people don't do this. It's the craziest thing. Okay, so now I know what they're looking for, right? I know why they're looking for it.
Yeah.
And so then the next thing that I do, I don't go to the MLS, because most real estate agents, as you're well aware of, I'm sure, the first places they go, they're like, well, I'll look on the MLS and check it out. Bro, like they've already looked at the MLS. They've already been on Zillow. They already know all the stuff that's on the market.
Yeah.
So go to Facebook. Go to Facebook and throw it on Facebook. Hey, I got somebody who's looking for a 4-bed, 3-bath house in this particular neighborhood. They'd like to have a fenced backyard, and splash of granite, splash of hardwood. They're ready to purchase up to 550,000. PM me. PM me if you know anybody. Well, what does that do? I mean, how many leads will I generate off of that? Is it going to be one or multiple? And it's usually multiple.
Yeah. Depends on the ad, but no, I love it. And I'll tell you, like, that is gold right there, which you shared. I mean, because I straight up ripped it off and duplicated exactly what you're saying. I stole the idea from you, and I do it in my market as well. And depending on the property that I'm describing, I'll get, sometimes I only get one solid seller lead. I'll get one person that will respond, and it'll be one person that wants to sell. Other times I
Right.
get 13 to 15. I mean, I've got right now, from like 3 or 4 different ads, I think I've got 30 or 40 potential sellers this spring that want to sell that I'm supposed to follow up with,
Yeah.
where they're like, hey, we want to sell, but we're not ready yet. Which
Right.
is crazy because you get a ton of people that are like, we're trying to advertise to find a already ready now buyer, right? Or seller. But then these guys will be like, well, hey, I've got exactly what you're talking about, or completely unrelated. I've done one where I said I needed a home with 5 acres of land. And I get people that are on like a city lot saying, hey, my lot's only like 15,000 square feet, or a quarter acre, a little over a quarter acre, right? And they're just like, but we want to sell. And so they just like raise their hand. I'm like, well, great, tell me more. Tell me more about your house. Yeah, it's an awesome way to get other people to raise their hand. So because it totally goes with the idea, or at the end of the day, where buyers raise their hand or identify because they want to buy houses, right? But sellers only will self-identify themselves if they think you have a buyer that can buy their house. And this is an amazing way to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, because what turned me on to this was it was at the beginning of the pandemic.
Yeah.
Because at the beginning of the pandemic, I had a bunch of listings that were on the market. And then, of course, everybody from the government's like, and anyway, I won't go down that rabbit hole. But anyway, they were like, we need to shut down. We were all concerned whether we were going to be essential or non-essential.
Yep.
And so I had a lot of people during that time that were like, you know what? Like, I want you to like pull me off of the market.
Yeah.
I want you to, I don't want to advertise. I don't want to sell. And it's like, but here's a question for you. Like, if I brought you a buyer, okay, and so you're not even like on the market, but you're sort of on the market.
Yeah.
Would you still sell? And they're like, oh, hell yeah, we would still sell. Absolutely. and that was like, kind of blew my mind a little bit. And it's like, so if you still wanted to sell, then I don't understand why you're pulling your house off the market.
Right.
And then I started talking to more people, and I realized that isn't like a new thing. That's not a pandemic thing. That's been going on forever.
Yeah.
So there's like this whole like,
well, they don't want to deal with the parade.
Right.
Over the last 5 years, you put a home up for sale, you had 40 people like the first day trying to come through the home.
Yeah. Well, there's that. And then the question that always, and I shouldn't say always, the question that I think comes up the most often in their mind is like, great. So if I put it on the market and it sells, like, boop, it's gone. Where am I going?
Right.
I don't have anything lined up. Like, I don't feel like I have control over that transaction. And so maybe if I do it like this other way, if I just happen to like sell it, under terms that I feel comfortable with, maybe that'll be better, which is crazy too, because even if they're on the market, they still got to dictate the terms of the sale of their property.
Right.
But people are under the impression that if they put it on the market and with the real estate agent on the market with the real estate agent, that somehow they don't get to dictate the terms of the sale of their property.
Right. They're in the driver's seat the whole time.
Right. So instead of me like beating my brains out, like, okay, like how are we going to handle that? Why don't I just change what it is that I'm doing a little bit?
Yeah.
And just lean into that market. And that's all I did. So
that's awesome.
Well, yeah, I thank you. I think so too. Because 80% of the transactions that I did over the last 4 years never hit the MLS. Wow. That's not a made up number.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And even on the MLS, I still show like 30 to 35 homes that I sold over the last 12 months. That represents only 20% of what I actually did. And what's fun about that too, this is just me because I have an ego. So here's a little bit of my ego. I have agents that call me, and they'll be like, is everything okay? Sort of the whole like alligator tears, the frenemy type of a thing.
Yeah.
It's like, why I noticed that your numbers are way down in the MLS, and we were talking and we were just calling to make sure that everything's fine. And it's like, motherfucker, like, you don't care about me. Like, I know that.
Right.
And so they're
just calling to backhand gloat.
Well, a little bit, yeah. And
Yeah.
it's fun too, because I just tell them, it's like, well, yeah, gosh, it's tough out there. The market's tough.
Yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate your concern though. Thank you so much. Yeah. And in the meantime, I'm sitting there with like 7 or 8 pending.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So the off-market opportunities are pretty crazy because there's
Yep.
still the same number of people who want to buy and sell real estate today as there were the same time last year, as the same time the year before that, as the
Wow.
same time the year before that. I mean, the percentages still stay basically about the same, because the number of buyers and sellers that are present in a market,
Right.
it's all based on demographics. So that's like where all of the crazy like statistical people and like all the analysts like look at their charts and everything, and it's like, okay, when this generation there's X number of people, and inside that generation there's X number of people that make X amount of dollars, right? And then they can break it all down and they can say, in that particular demographic, 38% of people are interested in buying a home.
Right.
So, I mean, if you wanted to get really scientific about your business too, like you can even distill the stuff that we were just talking about down even further.
Yeah.
and start looking at like different demographics of where you would want to place your marketing.
Right.
And of course, disclaimer, no, we're not talking about like discrimination or redlining. It's just where will we place our marketing dollars so that we know that it's the most effective,
Yeah.
And that's what I've done most recently, is that I got like even more scientific about like, well, where do I want to place those dollars that I'm going to invest into this?
Right.
And then the most amazing part of it too, and I know that you're there too, currently, is that once you get to the excess of business, then you can start hiring people. And then once you start hiring people, then you start getting your time back.
Yes.
Now you're not investing all this time into having to do all this stuff. And all it took was, I mean, I would say that if somebody hit this really hard, probably 6 to 9 months of hard prospecting before they're starting to hire people and leverage all that out.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, my diatribe is over. I don't mean to capitalize on it that much.
No,
You're the
dude,
guest
it's great. Oh goodness. So no, it's true though. It's just, you get out of it what you put into it.
Yeah.
And if you make it a priority and continue to push and add more people, I mean, we're basically our success is directly related to, how many conversations we have every day, how many people we add to our database. I've seen some people say that, it's basically the 1% rule. However, what 1% of your database is the amount of sales that you'll probably end up doing every year in real estate. And so, if you want to make $1 million a year at an average $10,000 commission check, that means you got to sell 100 homes, right? Which means you need, 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 right? We need to have a database of 10,000 people in order to do that. So, but at the end of the day, it's just having conversations, meeting people, trying to help them with their needs. And I like for sale by owners, I like, expired listings, because those are both people that are identifying themselves or have identified themselves as wanting to sell their home. Expireds are amazing because they also have already said, hey, not only do I want to sell my home, but I'm willing to pay a full commission, or pay realtors commissions. And so expireds are awesome because they're what I love to call, to steal the term from another great, recon, right? They are basically, they let you know that they're out there, they're ready to sell, and they're willing to pay a commission. And so a lot of times just good homes don't sell for the first time. And it's what I like to call the 4 Ps are the reasons: pictures, price, presentation, or poor representation. Are the 4 that are on there. And so it's just, because a lot of times you still see a lot of realtors will use their stupid cell phone to take pictures. I mean, it's, guys, we're professionals here. Your photos should look professional. So I hire a professional photographer to do all mine. It doesn't matter what price range it is. They still come out and do it. on there. And so, but and I say that because pictures are probably your first impression that you're going to have. I mean, because we know buyers look online 95% of the time before they even go look at a home or even talk to a realtor. And,
Yep.
and everybody acknowledges this. Like, if you're looking at homes online and the photos are bad, what do? They just skip to the next
Yep.
house. They don't bother taking a look at it still. They're like, no, looks horrible. We're out. And they move on. And so that's like, that's your first thing right there. So, and then a lot of times it's because they price the home incorrectly, and
Mhm.
so we get to come in, we're going to, improve the photos, improve the price, and give them instructions. They probably didn't even have an agent that told them what to do to set up for showings. A lot of times it's just amazing. Like when I talk to expired listings, I'll give them kind of a list of things to do and not to do, action items when they know that their home's going to be shown, and they'll be like, nobody ever told us to do this stuff. So like, if you've got pets in the house, get the dog bowl, the food and water bowls, get them out of sight. Like, don't keep them on the floor, because most home buyers are potentially looking. They don't know where those things are. They'll step on it or kick it. And then you got a food mess or water mess all over your floor.
Right.
But just get it out of sight, out of mind with that. But turn on all the stinking lights, open all the window blinds, get that natural light in there. And if your light bulbs are burnt out, replace them. And better yet, replace them with bright lights.
LEDs.
That's right. Replace them with the LED, like the bigger, brighter bulbs, right? So that it actually shows, because the brighter the home is, the warmer it feels. And that's what home buyers are buying based off of emotion, not off of facts.
Yep.
So, and
Yep.
then of course the last one is your poor representation, whether it's, whether the realtor was a bad representative, or if they were selling it on their own and they were a bad representative to selling the home themselves, and with that. And so it's just, making sure that you have accurate information. Are all of the documents in there? A great example is this. Grinds my gears, David. So here's where I know. Here's where like, oh, I've been waiting to talk to you for an hour, Todd, to finally get to this. But multifamily property, right? If you're selling like a duplex, they never put the financial documents in there. They never put a copy of the rental agreement. They never put what the rent rolls are, what the deposits were. This is all information that you need for an investor to be able to make a decision on whether they even want to look at the property.
Mhm.
And
what can I add one more thing in there that I
Yeah,
noticed
man.
with multifamily and investment that they never do? Investment, like tenant occupied investment.
Yeah.
How many times have you ever seen in the MLS and associated docs on
Uh-huh.
those properties where they include estoppel certificates?
Dude, we're like connected. I have never seen it, but I always have to ask for it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because any investor that knows what the hell they're doing
Right.
is going to say, like, hey, I understand what the financials say, and
Yeah.
I understand like what the taxes say. Like, I
Yep.
totally get that, but I want to know, first off, is that person paying the rent in the schedule that they said that they're paying the rent on?
Right.
And do they intend on continuing to pay that rent in perpetuity until the end of their lease agreement?
Right. Yeah.
And that's the estoppel certificate. Yeah. Because I mean, like, you can have, sorry, I'm going to go on a tangent because it's something that drives me crazy too, is that you can have a really great investment property. It's fantastic. The numbers look really, really great.
Yeah.
Right. And then you go and you start looking into like, how do they get the rents? Like, when did they receive the rents? And the rents are like, all over the board.
Yes.
Different times of the month.
Yeah.
People aren't like actually paying, and then on top of that, they're under the impression that if they get a new landlord, that they might be able to renegotiate.
Right.
And so then if you don't have the estoppel certificates, I mean, anyway, it drives me crazy.
Oh no, I totally agree. But
most agents don't even know what it is.
They don't even know what it is. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. No, it's crazy. And and to add on to pile on to that, basically kind of a reader, the estoppel certificate basically is you have the landlord and the tenant sign it, and they both agree to the terms that are in the contract. But most importantly, it spells out how much the rent is, when it's due, and if they paid a deposit and how much of a security deposit they paid as well. Because I've had it where they will tell me, oh, well, we didn't have any security deposits, or I paid $1,000, and I'm going, the paperwork doesn't, document this, but by getting everybody to sign off on it up front, I'm no longer having to worry about fighting a renter that's saying, well, you owe me $1,000 for deposit money. And I'm going, no, you don't have anything that proves that you had it. Then I wasn't transferred $1,000 deposit with that. But yeah, but the estoppel certificate protects all of that on there. And I agree.
Yep.
Like, it is something that, bring it back, make the estoppel certificate great again. Like, that's what we need. Absolutely. So
that's awesome.
But it's important to have that on there.
Yeah. What do you think is going to happen with this market?
Dude, we're just gonna, I think we're in for it. Times are going to get tougher before it gets better. And a lot of it is just, I think there's a lot of policies, and the inflation is only caused by the government, making money out of thin air and spending. And until that gets under control, I mean, they can continue to raise the rates, but that's not the problem. The problem is the government spending and making up money. And I don't want to get super political on it, but
you can if you want.
But that's kind of where it is. It's just, it's the government. The only way we have inflation is when the government creates money out of thin air. Right. And, there's a lot of stuff that's jacked up, and, the people need to hold our government accountable. What happened to being fiscally responsible?
That's not cool, things. Man.
I know, but we have to do it, right? Like, I can't run a business at a loss and still stay and keep my doors open. Like, if I'm losing money, I'm not staying in business, and the government's the worst at that on there. So, but I see through the next year, there's a lot of equity still in homes. I don't see a ton of foreclosures happening. Yes, there are going to be some. And things are getting tighter. And so I'm dusting off, going to actually reaching out to for sale by owners, expireds, and also notice of default type buyers or sellers, I should say, to find those listings. But I think there's too much equity, and the inventory is still low, and buyer demand is still high enough to where I don't think we're going to see, a huge drop. I think we're still going to, things are down 50%, but it just means that we're going to get, the people that we work with are going to be highly qualified in order to move forward. And I think it's all the more important reason for us as agents to make sure that we pre-qualify all of our clients, all of our people to, pre-qualify them, I should say, to make sure that they can do what they want, before we get all excited and do that. And I know we all have the tendency to want to be like, oh, let's go show homes, let's go do this, let's go do that. No, let's slow down. Is actually in Washington State on the 3rd of October, they just changed it to where we have to get an exclusive buyer representation agreement, or we could not get paid. Like, we have to fill out in our purchase agreement how much commission the sellers are offering us. And if that doesn't coincide or match up with what the buyers have agreed to pay us in the buyer representation agreement, we have to disclose the contract a different way. And so, like, the buyers could potentially just say, hey, you know what? I just met you. Like, you called me from Zillow, or I called you off of Zillow, and I'm going to go show, you showed me one house, and now you're going to make a $15,000 commission. Nah, man, that's way too much money for you to make. Like, you need to give me half of that back, or that needs to go towards my closing costs. I mean, that's a realistic thing that could happen. I mean, it's people have tried to negotiate that. Yeah. And so, but that's part of our contract now. And Washington State did that to combat, all the crap that's going on with the lawsuits with Realtor.com and people saying that, hey, buyers aren't represented, and they're being, or sellers are having to pay for buyers' commissions, which, that shouldn't be. Why should I have to pay a realtor to come negotiate against me? On that. And so Washington's proactively taken that, where now we have to do that. So I'm of the opinion, I've been doing it for the last 15 years. Get exclusive agreements before you do anything else. Have a needs analysis set up. Get them pre-approved with a lender. Which I'm going to piggyback on with the for sale by owners real quickly. Find a good lender that's willing to work with you on the for sale by owners, because they can be an asset. They can be an ally to you for all the leads that you generate. Then get that lender to help you prospect and qualify all of your buyer leads as well. So, but doing that, I think by getting those steps put in place, set that up first, and do not go show homes until they've been pre-qualified. You're wasting your time. There's a lot of buyers that'll be like, yeah, I know, I'm, that tell me, it's not a problem. I'm not worried about getting qualified. It's like, well, then go through the steps. You wouldn't go car shopping. I mean, you're not going to go buy a car. You're not going to go do other services without knowing that you've got the finances in place to do it.
Yeah.
Like
biggest red flag statement in the entire world is when you're dealing with people and they're like, oh yeah, don't worry about the money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got you covered.
If they ever say that, you should worry about the money.
So, well, it was, and David, with it, and I'll tell you, and I know you know this already, but for our viewers that are out there, I struggled with this question. I mean, because it was, and a lot of realtors do, and a lot of consumers are very touchy about this, are very sensitive, because they come across, because basically what they'll say is they try to be straight with the consumer, and they'll just say, well, can you qualify to buy this house? Do you have financing in order? And, and that's kind of a bit abrasive. And so I have found that in my, almost 20 years as an agent, that the best way to approach the question is to just say, David, if this is the home that you decide that you love and you decide you want to buy it, are you planning on paying cash or obtaining financing? Pretty simple. Yeah. And at that point, they'll give you some version. They'll be like, oh, well, we've got enough for a down payment, but we're going to need to get the rest financed. I'll be like, well, that's awesome. Yep. Would you be open to me? Would it be okay with you if I helped you save money and maybe lined you up with a great lender that could get you the most competitive rates and potentially save you on closing costs too? And they're like, well, yeah, somebody that's going to get me a better deal? Absolutely. Wouldn't you?
I don't know anybody that would say no to that.
Right. I mean, as a real estate professional, if I go to other professions, I should say I would expect them to get me the best deal possible, not be like, oh, hey, good luck, go research this. Right. I mean, of course, they can choose whoever they want to, but I'm going to make a couple of suggestions and say, look, these are people that I've used in the past right here. Here's this. And so, one of the ones that I love to introduce right now is a dude that I've known his whole life. He is just the coolest guy. I'm absolutely just love him. He's the greatest dude in the world and has got a great personality and always is like down to have fun and always takes good care of people. And I said, and I think you'll agree with me when you meet him. I said, but in full disclosure, I know I'm a bit biased. I will tell you, he is my younger brother. So, but my brother just left his job out at the nuclear power plant in last April and is now just full-time lender. So that's a big how do you do. He's getting the Torgerson, cool. He's getting the Torgerson treatment, right? Yeah. So let's join right when the market tanks. Mm-hmm. So
it's true. It's true. Well, I'll say this. I mean, as far as like like getting into the market in a time like this.
Yeah.
I am so thankful that I got my real estate license in December 2007. As opposed to getting licensed, say in like 2020 or 2021, because I cut my teeth on bad markets.
Yeah. That's what we know.
Yeah, and
it's what we know.
And the cool part about it is like if you can make it in a bad market, like an easy market, like what we've had over the past like 5 years.
Oh, it's cruising.
It's like a vacation.
It really is.
It was weird. Yeah. And now it's just going back to what you and I would both consider normal.
Yeah.
Like, what do you need to do? Like go out there and grind and, talk to people and, do the thing. And I wanted to add one more thing on your lender script. And this is something that we do with our lender.
Yeah.
And he might, and I think your brother would be down with this, because he's your brother. I would have to imagine he'd be cool with that. Is it's what I call the golden alley-oop.
Uh-huh.
And the golden alley-oop is that So when you, and I'll just pretend that you're the lender.
Yeah.
And so when you meet Todd, you'll realize that what I'm about to say is 100% true. Todd is a really, really fantastic guy. Everybody loves him, and I just know you will too. That's it. That's the golden alley-oop.
That's
Because
awesome.
the second part of the script is that the lender will be like, hey, before we jump into doing all of the lending stuff, I just wanted
Yeah.
to commend you on your choice of real estate agents. David Torgerson is the most amazing real estate agent that I've had the opportunity to work with my long career in lending. I just absolutely love David. Everybody loves David, and I know you will too. Good job. Good choice. That's it.
Yeah.
That's the whole script.
That's it. Little pat on the back. Now let's dive into the finances. Yeah.
Yeah. And the reason for that is that at that point, you basically dug a deep, wide moat
Yeah.
around any other real estate agent being able to get to that client,
Right.
or their friend saying, oh, well, you really should use Joe Blow, because Joe Blow is who we bought our house through, and he's a really nice guy. And they're like, well, I don't know. That doesn't sound as convincing as the other stuff that I just heard where everybody loves him, and I will too.
Yeah.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So it sounds like overall, like you're pretty optimistic about the market.
Dude, it's going to be great for those that apply themselves.
Yeah.
I mean, really, the attitude has to be do whatever it takes. Let's embrace it. It's going to suck. Like, it's going to be hard work. There's going to be tears, but it's just like going to the gym. You're going to have to push yourself. You're going to have to exert yourself. But at the end, the results will be worth it.
Yeah.
So.
Amen, brother. We're in about 2 hours.
Whew, doggy.
Total. So, anything else that you wanted to talk about?
No, I don't.
Got anything exciting that you want to plug?
If you want help, and feel free to reach out to me. I am a transparent, I guess, 100%. Here's my playbook. In fact, I actually made a book that I created a little booklet that was what I wish I knew when I first got into real estate. And so I give it to all new agents that I meet. I carry this little PDF booklet. It's only 20 pages, but it's got scripts in there, and different things. And so, when you go to, if you publish this one, if you deem it worthy of putting on the internet, I'll give you a link to it. So it's like a free download that people can get.
Yeah. Send me the link, and we'll connect it with all the stuff that we'll have on the
Sounds
podcast.
Good. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the only other thing that I'd say is, choosing which brokerage you work at truly has the velocity or the trajectory to set you apart on your success, that's out there. I know a lot of people want to be like, oh, I'll keep everything brokerage agnostic, with things that are there. But I've been at several brokerages, and I had my own brokerage. And I'll tell you, the best decision that I ever made, David, was joining EXP.
Yep.
With it. It truly is. I have been more profitable in my last 3 years with EXP than I was in my first 15 or 16 years without EXP.
Yeah.
And and it was the best decision I've ever made, better than owning real estate, properties and different things. And for many reasons, but it gives me the freedom to work without and be compensated in many different ways. So, I don't want to dog.
No, man, this is not a brokerage agnostic podcast, dude.
Okay.
This is the whole intention of this thing.
Why did we wait so long?
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Now, the whole intention of the podcast is that, real estate agents, and consumers get the opportunity to see, the stuff that we actually talk about, not like the, severely automated, well, today, we're going to be talking with Todd Watkins, and Todd Watkins has pioneered a really inventive way.
It was amazing. Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, I gotcha.
Right. And it's not broker agnostic, because the everything that you said, I'm not going to steal your thunder. And so I will only just say this, is that ditto.
Yeah.
Everything about the brokerage, I will completely agree with. Changed my life forever.
Yeah. If you want more freedom, if you want to make more money, and
at the same time.
Yeah. freedom and more money at the same time, and be able to be an actual owner in the company. I mean, that's just, anyways, it's I don't know how deep we want to dive into it or not with it, but I mean, you can earn stock in the company, you can earn lifetime referral fees in the company. It's
well, the way that it works, it's like getting all of the benefits of having investment properties without having the actual investment properties.
It really is. It truly is. And I enjoy the passive income real nicely.
Yeah. This is how I met you. I wouldn't have met you otherwise.
Absolutely. We wouldn't have. I mean, and honestly, you get to meet cool people like David. So from it really is. So, I mean, there's a lot of great things that are out there where, I've met some huge producers, and it's helped my business because, high tides rise all boats. And by aligning yourself with the cream of the crop, it's going to force you to be better as well.
Yeah. Yep.
Which is great because all I can do is go up.
I'm right there with you. I'm right there with you. Yeah. The more I learn, the more I realize exactly that I know shit, dude. I don't know shit.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
20 years in and still humbling. So.
Yeah, for sure. When this is something cool I wanted to share with you, and everybody that's watching too, is that just the other day I was PMing with Glenn Sanford. And so for the people that are watching, Glenn Sanford is the CEO and founder of eXp Realty.
Right.
It's kind of a big deal. And I had a question, and somebody had suggested, they were like, that's a really good question for either Dave Knorr, the president of the company, or Glenn, the CEO and founder. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. Well, I guess I'll just reach out and PM him. Yeah. And I had a nice exchange with the freaking founder and CEO of the company, just like I was talking to you, Todd.
Yeah.
It's craziness.
That's awesome.
I love this.
No, it is. I mean, it really is, because I think because everybody is an owner in the company, which means the better the company does, the better the stock does, the better the stock does, the better we all do. And it has truly created a culture that I always strive to obtain for my brokerage and with my real estate teams that I've had, where, because I mean, they will just give you the shirt off their back. I mean, they will do whatever, they will share anything and everything with you to help you succeed.
Yep. It's true.
Yeah.
I think that's a great place to end it.
Perfect, man. This has been great.
Yeah.
I always love getting together and chatting with you, dude. It's awesome. So it's great to chat with some down to earth peeps.
Yep. Likewise. Yep. So if anybody wants any more information on the Realist Real Estate Agent podcast, or that you want to get on and be interviewed by me and maybe somebody else, maybe we even get Todd on, we'll do like a double interview.
Let's do it.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Yeah.
All my information is down below. You can find it easily. And we post these I believe it's every Wednesday and Saturday is what we've decided to do. So thank you. Thanks, Todd. Appreciate it, man.
Thanks for letting me be on. This was great.
All right.